Hey guys, my name is Danish and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about a laptop from Asus which is a budget variant called the TUF Gaming A15, and I'll go through all the specs of the device, the price, all the build quality and all of this stuff as I go through my first impressions of this laptop. So let's just get started. So talking about the specs of this laptop, this is in FA5661HBQ169T as the model number. So this is a Ryzen 5 4600H processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 1650 NVIDIA GPU with 4 gigs of VRAM, 1080p display at 60Hz, a whole lot of ports. On the left we have the power, Ethernet, HDMI and 2 USB 3.1 ports with one USB 3.2 Type-C port and a 3.5mm combi jack. On the right hand side we have a USB 2.0 and a Kensington lock. So I would have loved to see an SD card slot here because that's a lot more used port, but it's okay, we have a lot more of the other ports and we can make do with this. On top of the hinge we have the LED lights for power, HDD, reset and all of that. We have a 512 gig NVMe drive inside and a 720p webcam. Now talking about the RAM, this is something we are seeing nowadays with the higher clock speeds being used, with this case having a 3200 megahertz DIMM. So this has two SODIMM slots and one is empty and can be upgraded to 16 gigs with another 3200 megahertz 8 gig module, which I'll link in the description below. If you want to check it out, it'll help you a lot in your future upgradability. Now before I talk about performance, let's talk about all the physical aspects of this device. So the number one aspect is the test of the single finger opening of the laptop, and it does do it in a sort of way because it isn't really that much balanced, but once it starts going after the initial jump up of the laptop, it does open up fairly easily and it is quite balanced after that. There is not a lot of deck flex, so it doesn't flex a lot when you type in or push in on the chassis. There is a bit of a flex on the display side, but that's a bit of a normal because it's thin panel and you can't actually add too much rigidity without adding thickness. There's a huge power button on the top right corner, but I do miss not having a fingerprint sensor there because that's something of a feature that everybody is looking for right now. Coming to the keyboard, it is a full size keyboard with the number pad and it is RGB, so you can go through the different modes while switching through the settings in that and choose a myriad of scenarios like a pulsating or a static or the rainbow puke or just plain white. So that is a good thing. And the keyboard, the key travel is pretty good. It is pretty stabilized and I didn't have any sort of weird feeling while using it and typing on it, so it will be good for long-term typing sessions. Coming down right below that we have the trackpad, which is a normal size trackpad with two physical buttons. It isn't too bad, it isn't as good as a MacBook trackpad, but it's somewhere in the middle ground, which I think I can accept for this price point. And the display, it is pretty bright, pretty good, not the best, average, and the viewing angles are also good enough for normal usage, but you can't really go off and edit off of this monitor because it is not that color accurate as I would like it to be, but for content consumption it is great. Now talking about cooling, this package which has been executed pretty nicely is with the two exhaust vents at the back, which are pretty big and have large mesh grills on them, and at the bottom as well we have the hexagonal pattern with different slides of cutouts on the openings, and there are a bit more on one side, there are a bit less, and there is room for making more slots if you really need to do the cooling, but I wouldn't recommend that because the slots that have been cut out have been designed in such a way so that the air flows through all the other components as well and cools them on its way out and exhausting. I haven't had any long-term testing with this and I don't know how the thermals will go up if I push this thing too extreme, but with my limited testing it didn't overheat on me, it didn't drop down its clocks for the CPU or the GPU, so I think it was pretty stable from what you will do and have as a regular day-to-day device. And also with the Asus mapping software, which can easily give you switching modes to switch from silent mode to full fan speed and to turbo mode when you're connected to power, to give the maximum amount of cooling when you are connected to power and not pulling from the battery, which is not that big, it's a 48-hour battery and a 150 watt charger which comes in the box, which is pretty high up there, and all of these mid-tier laptops are really amping up their power consumption and the performance that they can give out. The more you go forward, the lesser the laptops will cost for more performance, and I hope to see a lot more fun stuff at this price point. Talking about that, so this laptop costs about 63,000 rupees right now, which is available on Reliance Digital. On their online portal, it does say out of stock, but if you can find any specific models in this similar spec, you can go for it aramse and not worry about it. Now, I did do some proper amount of testing with this laptop, so the first thing that did catch me out was the speakers. So these are bottom firing speakers, and I did test them out with a few of the stock audios, comparing it with my MacBook side to side, which you can hear right here. As you can see, the clarity of the audio doesn't really show up in the audio. It does sound a bit more far spaced because of the bottom firing drivers, and the MacBook is a lot more clearer. But you're gonna say, Danish, that MacBook is nearly 3 times the price. But yeah, it's nearly 5 years older as well. So you do of that information what you will and come to your conclusions, and let me know in the comments what you think on which speakers are better. Now, coming on to performance, I did test out one game in the time that I had the laptop with, that was CSGO, and this was at 1080p at maxed settings on all criteria, and it was giving me around 180 to 190 FPS thereabouts, moving up and down with a bit of a delta, which is pretty good for this laptop. And I didn't get to play around with a lot of the other games, but with a 1650 with 4 gigs of VRAM and the integrated Radeon graphics as well, this will probably give you a lot of performance for the price that you're getting, and also good battery life because it can switch to the Radeon graphics to save battery as well. So at this price point, what would I like to see for me to have more an enticing feel and recommend more laptops of this caliber was, number 1, adding a fingerprint sensor, number 2, SD card slot, please. That's a really important feature. Just because the MacBook removed it doesn't mean you should remove it. Number 3, I would love to see a higher refresh rate 1080p panel. I don't want a 1440p because that will eat up GPU performance. Just give me a higher refresh rate 1080p, even 120Hz 1080p panel on the budget laptop would be amazing. The storage, pretty good, NVMe. The processor is a 6-core processor, which is more than you require right now, and no game has been optimized for 6 cores. Nearly all of the games have been optimized for 4 cores. Pretty good performance for gaming as well, and for productivity as well, it's pretty good. And yeah, I guess this is my first impressions of the Asus TUF Gaming A15 laptop with this specification. And if you're looking for this spec as well, I'll link the Reliance link in the description below, and if I can find any alternate links as well, I'll put them in the description. If I missed anything in this video, or if you wanted me to do any more testing, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to oblige. If you like this video, give this video a like, get subscribed to my channel and ring the bell icon to receive notifications of all of my videos, and stay home, stay safe. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.